9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well, good morning, everybody. I know it's a bit confusing. First of all, I'm starting bang on time. Second of all, I'm starting a little bit early. Yes, I'm starting a little bit early today because, as you all know, well, if you joined in yesterday, I'm off to Cyprus today. Look, it's a tough job. Someone's got to do it. And I'm here just doing it, right? I'm just doing it. I don't know. This is the beauty of the Europa League. I know it's not the competition we want to be in, but you get very nice trips. But look, how are you all doing? We're here to talk about the Glazers, which won't be the cheeriest of conversations this morning, but I'm going to cover reports from The Athletic yesterday that the Glazers tried to sell off 30% of Manchester United without relinquishing 1% of power. It's a very odd concept, but that's apparently happened. I'm going to run through that article this morning. We're going to speak about what's coming up next for Manchester United. There's a really well-written article from Carl Anker on The Athletic, sort of talking about Ten Hag's next steps, the fact that after Brentford, we recovered from the mistakes, but there was an element of pragmatism to how we played. It's not exactly what Ten Hag and how Ten Hag wants United to play. So what's his next steps after City? And I'll be running through that. We'll be speaking about Casemiro, about Garnacho last night, banging in a last-minute winner for the under-21s. And you can let me know what you think in the comments, as always. Mo, yep, it's an early live today. It is an early live today, so no doubt that won't be as many people joining in, but it doesn't really matter. What time do you call this? Says Nino. I know, absolutely disgraceful. Game of Beans, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Paula, John, Matt. I can see you all down there. Charlie, Anthony. I think there was a couple of new members there. Paul, I saw you there joining. Nice to see you there, buddy. Who else? I think there might have been somebody else at the top as well. It was Martin sending in this super chat before the stream went live, saying, I'm hearing Sir Jim Ratcliffe is finalising a bid to buy United. It would be nice. It would be nice. And Olivia, you made it, though. You made it. As I said, I'm flying out. There's train strikes in the UK today, so I have to go extra early just in case the trains decide to ruin all my plans today. But let's run through this article because I found the whole thing really, really strange, right? Josh, I can see you there too. Look, PIF, so that's the Saudi Public Investment Fund, will offer 30% of a Premier League club for £700 million before buying Newcastle. And this is what The Athletic is writing. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund will offer 30% of a Premier League club believed to be Manchester United for £700 million before buying Newcastle. And we go down here and we read a little bit more on the quotes from, look, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the governor of the Public Investment Fund. Football, of course, is one of the most important sports there is, blah, 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 blah. Don't need to read any of that. When we looked at it from a financial perspective. By the way, it wasn't the first offer we got regarding a football team. We looked in Italy, France, and the UK as well. For example, in the UK, there was a team that approached us on the basis that we take 30% of the ownership and we don't interfere at all in terms of managing the club for £700 million. So what this article here is saying is that the Glazers try to sell off 30% of Manchester United without giving away any power whatsoever. So they would have retained all the voting rights. They would have retained all the decision-making process. It's effectively, I don't think I've articulated this in a video yet. I've been wanting to, but I haven't really got around to it yet. The Glazers' strategy at Manchester United has expired. And we know what their strategy has been. I've previously explained that in quite a lot of detail. The Glazers' strategy, and you know what it was. Every time we got inside the top four, the spending reduced. Every time we finished outside the top four, the spending increased. Their whole strategy revolved around just using using top four as the cash cow. That's now not possible anymore when you've got clubs like West Ham spending 150 million, Nottingham Forest spending 150 million when they just got promoted. The amount required to keep that top four is now significantly higher than it was a few years ago. And on top of that, Manchester United are at the point in the crossroads where we need significant investment. And that's what the Glazers are doing here. The Glazers they have no money. I mean, they have money. They've got lots of money, but it's tied up in assets and loans, and the Glazers don't have any money that they want to invest in Manchester United, so they need to try and find somebody who's going to invest that for them. And it's what an outrageous offer that is. Also, it's a strange concept. We talk about the valuation of Manchester United, right, and how much we think it's worth. But if the Glazers there were offering 30% for 700 million, you don't have to do the maths there. That's going to value United at somewhere between 2 and 2.5 billion. Now, I don't think that valuation would have taken into account all the debt that's on top of it, X, Y, Z, which would all be added on top of the actual valuation of United if and when it was sold. But it's a little bit less than what I thought it was. But Anthony, this is exactly how I would describe it. This is another example and evidence for the fact that we have reached that tipping point. And it's something. This is why I've been so not energetic. I've been so vocal in what I've been saying about the Glazers and the anti-Glazer movement that's going on at the moment. This is why it feels different, because I believe it has reached that tipping point. And without significant investment, I don't think the Glazers can continue. Well, they can continue owning Manchester United, but it will just only lose money as an asset now. Sigmund, you're down there figuring out how to join in live, and you just gifted 5 memberships. One absolute don. Let me see the 5 members that were lucky enough to get one from you. Got Zim, Wild Wolf, Alex and Guyan, Magamad, and King Ray. So thank you very much to our Sigmund. And what's he saying down here? He's saying, look, if they need money, open up a decent fan share scheme with voting rights. Why would they do that? Because then they're going to have to relinquish voting power. That's what they do. I mean, look, I know why they should do that and why they would do that, but they do not want to give away the stranglehold that they've got on Manchester United. And that concept there is the Saudi Public Investment Fund must have just laughed. What did you want 700 million of our money, and you don't want us to have any sort of control whatsoever over what you do with said money? It would be one of the strangest investments in the world. Genuinely, I would consider it massively absurd. But the Glazers are reaching new levels of absurdity because they're fucking desperate. They don't know what to do. They are trying absolutely everything within that. And I guarantee they try and get another loan somehow. They'll try and leverage more debt on Manchester United before they sell the club. It wouldn't surprise anybody. Somehow they'll try and use another one of their assets as collateral, or they'll use more of Manchester United as collateral, go to the American banks, try and increase that credit facility by another 400, 500, 600 million. Of course, that won't be allowed by the fans. Legally, is it even allowed? I don't know. But they will try everything. If they're willing to go to the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia and offer 30% of Manchester United for 700 million without giving any voting rights over, they will do anything. They will do anything to hold on to Manchester United. Anchor, what you're saying, we were a leveraged buyout. They will try to break pieces and make money. That's what they're trying to do. They are trying to somehow hold on to all the power of Manchester United, even if they don't own a total majority. Because I think they own at the moment around about, I think it's roughly 70% of Manchester United. The rest is, I think, available on the public market, but that 30% ownership doesn't really count for anything because of the difference between Class A shares and Class B shares. And I don't need to get into that this morning. It's way too early for that. But the Glazers, they might not own 100% of Manchester United, but they own 100% of Manchester United's voting rights. And that's the most important thing. Mate, Ricky's down here as well. Legends, absolute legends. Just before, look at that. Just before we go Cyprus, we get some new members of the gang. Who we got down there? We got Ply. Who else has been giving them? Let me get them up here. Legend. One absolute don. Thank you very much, Ricky. And, well, it's not me. It's got to say thank you to Zeroth, Annie Roods. You've got Lone Wolf, Vincent, Ply. Just seen you there. Airsoft, Ian Nugros, Carl Gallagher, Keith Bray, and Marley Gregory. Good morning to all of you. and I hope you enjoy being part of the gang. But look, I feel more confident of the Glazers leaving Manchester United in some way, shape or form than I've ever felt before. And look, you'll remember here that I interviewed the 1958 on last week's podcast. This was a little snippet on that in terms of, look, Manchester United Supporters Trust has long been in dialogue with Manchester United to try and build a relationship between the club and the fans. In the 1958, they were approached by Manchester United. And this is what they said.
Bit of a scoop for you, Sam. Yes, the club have tried to reach out and contact us to arrange a meeting. The bottom line is we refused. Protesting legally and is our democratic right, and we'll not dilute the effectiveness of that with suggestions and perks from the club, nor betray our match-going fan base for anything or anybody. We're all in this together. We'd just be betraying ourselves at the end of the day, and that's never happening. We're only happy to talk to the club to help facilitate the Glazers' exit strategy. That's it. Other than that, we're not interested.
And that's a really important part. What the 1958 have done and what they're doing is giving United fans like every protest needs a leader. I think so anyway. For it to truly be organised properly, and that's what they've done. That's really what they've done. They've organised it amazingly, and long may it continue. I'm in dialogue with the 1958. I'm trying to do what I can do, and no doubt that there will be more protests coming. So basically, all I'm trying to say is, keep doing what you're doing. This, for me, is just more evidence of the fact that the Glazers, they're looking at ways out. They're looking at every single possible way of holding on to power while selling parts of it off. Like they're in like a boot sale, just trying to sell off parts of United whilst holding on to the heart. That's what they're trying to do. I don't think that will work. So let's see what's next. But it's a really important stage that we're at. Let me go down there and read a couple of your comments out. Tyler, you're saying, look, Jim Ratcliffe should come in now. Look, the timing is perfect for Jim. I'll tell you what, the value of the pound being absolutely abysmal, that will surely help him as well. I think so. A couple of points down here. As was just said by Paula in the comments, there's loads of you, 15 of you, that have just been gifted a membership this morning. The important thing to remember about the gifted memberships is it's a gift. It's a gift for a month to allow you in. Make sure you join the community, join the members only chat. But if you'd like to, please renew after a month. I'd love to have you stay on board. What you're saying down here, Daisy saying it doesn't cost. It does cost. Yeah, it doesn't cost much. It's like, what is it? It's like buying me a pint, I suppose. And I will buy some pints out in Cyprus. It's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to it. So I apologize that there won't be a stream tomorrow and there won't be a stream on Friday. I'm somehow going to do a match reaction tomorrow. Problem is, when you go to the game, it's certainly in European away. I don't think we'll get locked in. Apparently, that didn't happen at Sheriff's. I don't think it will happen at in Cyprus. But I have no idea how or when that match reaction is going to be coming out. Sam, thank you very much, dude. Safe trip. Hope so. 4.5 hour flight. It's a long old flight there. It really is. Carl, you're saying, look, that Glazer literally trying to sell the club. They're trying to do everything. They're trying to do everything whilst somehow holding on to the actual power of Manchester United. And I don't think that's going to really work. But look, let's not wrap it up. We've got 15 minutes here. Let's talk about what's happening today, because there's lots happening today. Manchester United, we've got three things. We've got Manchester United. I've got our training this morning that's kicking off in 15 minutes. We'll get to see whether or not, I don't think Rafael Varane will be there. My starting 11 video is going out at 12 o'clock today, already recorded. And I'll run through what team I would put out. But there was a really interesting article here that Carl Anka did on Eric Ten Hag and his next steps. Because I want to say a big shout out to Bet Victor for continuing to support United People's TV, because Adam McCullough was questioned about what that game was against City. And I think it's sort of, he raised a couple of points that I want to dive into, and also that relates to this article that was written by Carl Anka from The Athletic.
It was dreadful. We got it wrong in the first half, massively wrong. I think Rafael Varane going off injured didn't help, although when he was on the pitch, it wasn't pretty either. I think the selection of not picking Casemiro left us too open. Bruno and Eriksen in there is too open to play against Manchester City. I think previous times when we've played well against them, we've gone with McTominay and Fred in front of the defence. So we just kind of feel like maybe Casemiro starting, maybe a Fred starting, getting extra body in helps.
And that's kind of leads me into this conversation here based on Carl Anker's article, because if you're looking at how Erik ten Hag has responded to adversity at Manchester United so far, the adversity came in the first 2 games, Brighton and Brentford. Now, previous managers at United, stubbornness. Mourinho, Van Gaal, everybody. I say Rangnick had more versatility, but as he was effectively a supply teacher, just trying to do whatever he could to make it as happy as possible for that short period of time. Every other manager has had stubbornness, and every manager really does have stubbornness. But what Erik ten Hag did in those 4 games post Brighton and Brentford was he stepped away from his principles a little bit, and he brought an element of pragmatism to his game. He didn't. Manchester United, if you're looking at what De Gea did, we started kicking it a little bit long. We weren't playing it out from the back against the likes of Liverpool or Leicester or Southampton. We kind of switched it a little bit, and it worked. But it worked up until a point, and that point was Man City. So if we go into this game that's going to be happening tomorrow, we're hearing that Casemiro is going to be getting his first Premier League start against Everton on Sunday. And for me, Casemiro is... Casemiro, I think Erik ten Hag will look back at this game against City now and go, you know what? I was probably a little bit naive. I think I probably made a little bit of a mistake feeling that we could sort of play City at their own game through the middle with Eriksen and with Bruno. On paper, I think he felt it could have worked because Manchester United have won 4 in a row. I believe that Ten Hag underestimated the golfing quality between us and City. I think he underestimated, again, his players' ability to play in these big games and turn up. And I do agree for the fact that if Casemiro had started that game, Casemiro would have marshaled that area of the pitch significantly better than Eriksen would have. Now, it would have made United a little bit less effective going forward, but even with Eriksen on the pitch, we were massively ineffective going forward. Certainly better in the second half when City sort of took their foot off the gas. But Casemiro, I think Ten Hag now, this is when we're going to see him coming. I see people trying to talk about how Rio Ferdinand was trying to suggest that Casemiro would have felt disrespected by being left on the bench against City. No, I don't think he would have felt disrespected, but I think he would have felt Ten Hag made a mistake. Obviously, the performance itself sort of proved that. But in the same way that I've seen Erik ten Hag learn from his mistakes against Brighton and Brentford, not particularly repeat them, and United went on a winning streak, I imagine he'll learn from his mistakes against City, and he probably won't repeat them. I imagine we'll see Casemiro come in. Ten Hag has now learned that he can't just pick his team purely on form and trust alone. It's going to have to be, and that's probably the one thing I would say that Pep Guardiola really is the best at, is chopping and taking and switching, taking players in, taking players out, chopping and changing, and the City team still looks the same. I mean, look, that team there on Sunday didn't have Rodri, didn't have Diaz, and didn't have Stones, didn't have Laporte, didn't have the majority of their first choice centre backs or their main holding midfielder, and the City team didn't really look that different because of it. That's what happens when your team is so well drilled, and we're nowhere near that yet. That's where we want to get towards. That's the benchmark, and that's what I said. So the idea that game was a reality check is the wrong description. It's a benchmark. I went into that game predicting a loss, so it's not a reality check. United fans we already knew the reality that City were better than us. But Casemiro, I think, coming in now, it's the perfect time. I've told you, I'm absolutely confident that by the end of the season, we're going to say Casemiro has been a good signing for Manchester United. It's just that his arrival coincided with McTominay's probably best 4 consecutive games in a Manchester United shirt, in games where we beat Liverpool, Leicester, Southampton, and Arsenal. And nobody could argue about his position in the team. Going into the City game, there were certain slight concerns, but Casemiro's coming in. Casemiro is definitely coming in now. Jason Burt from The Telegraph saying this. Let's run through this article. Saying Casemiro is finally going to get his first Premier League start. He's saying Casemiro is in line for his first Premier League start when they travel to Goodison Park. Ten Hag's hoping for an immediate reaction. Now, I don't know whether or not this is This is purely Jason Burt just guessing. But I'm really, really looking forward. I mean, you know, for anybody who's been an OG here on the United People's TV will know how long I've been calling for a defensive midfield signing. And we went and signed Casemiro. It's a bit of a Galactico type signing. I think there were a lot of other signings that we could have made, probably half the price, that would have been exciting as well. But Casemiro, I've got no doubt that he's going to be good. And once he's in that team, I don't think McTominay will be able to get anywhere near it. I think Casemiro will have a stranglehold on that position. Jay, you're saying, look, as I've always said since the start, we should have played the diamond. No, Ten Hag will play his style, dude. Ten Hag won't be switching formations and chopping and changing all that. He might be pragmatic in his approach with playing out from the back with the ball, maybe going a little bit long, maybe bringing an element of directness to it. He's not going to switch formation. It's 4-2-3-1. Out of possession, in possession, it might be a 4-2-3-1 on paper, but if you were to stop Manchester United at any point in the game and you were to take a look at it, so you'll see that the formation changes. Certainly when we go forward, we play with 3 at the back and we get overlapping. We create an overload. It's more like a 3-2-5 when we go forward. It's not just a 4-2-3-1 and it's a rigid 4-2-3-1. There's a lot of differences, nuances that you have to understand when you watch Manchester United and watch Erik ten Hag. But Casemiro, man, I'm looking forward to it. Christian, you're saying that I want Casemiro starting play alongside Varane and Martinez. So do I. So do I. And Matt, that's what I'm trying to explain. Maybe I've got to do a video on that because on paper, when you line up and the first whistle blows when you're watching Man United, it's a 4-2-3-1. But when United start playing, you'll see that McTominay drops a little bit deeper than Eriksen, typically. Eriksen moves further up, making it more of a 4-3-3. You'll see that one of Malacia or Delot will sort of like accelerate forward and that the other fullback will drop in behind. And that will create 3 at the back with one fullback going up to supplement and support the attack. And that creates the overloads that help United go forward. It's a really good formation. I like it anyway. But Casemiro, now's the time, isn't it? Now is the time. I imagine we'll be seeing Casemiro. I've got him in my starting 11 to face Omanoya. I imagine we might be seeing Casemiro for 60 minutes, take him off, and then get him ready to start that game against Everton. Because Goodison Park will not be an easy game. Not be an easy game. Ernest said it, saying, Sam, it might not be easy for a coach to drop his informed players. No, he's not at all. But Ten Hag is finding out the balances of management of Manchester United at the moment. He's went all in with the he played his biggest names, I suppose. He played his Maguires and his Ronaldos in the first couple of games, and they massively let him down, spectacularly let him down. He's like, well, sod you lot. Out you go. In come our new players. We won 4 in a bounce. And he's like, right, I can trust you lot to go and do it against City. I think he learned that he probably can't. It's the subtleties. It's not about sweeping massive changes, but it's about taking individuals in and out, not just about form, but about the game that they are playing in as well. And as a manager, he'll have a good way of doing it. Like, I don't know, if he takes McTominay out for the game against Everton, he won't be like, I'm dropping you for Casemiro. I'm dropping you for Casemiro because Casemiro is better than you, even if that is the case. He'll be like, no, I need you for the next game. I'm resting you so you can be fit for the next game. We've got a game every 3 days, and he has to get that mentality back into the squad. That everybody has a place in this squad this season. Everybody's got something to do, and I think they will. I really, really think they will. Quickly here before we do leave. Last night the under-21s were in action. You can see it's a pretty decent lineup. You got Facundo Pellistri, he's starting for Uruguay now in a very, very strong Uruguay team, and he's back from injury. I imagine we might be seeing a little bit of Pellistri sooner rather than later. Garnacho, Savage, Iqbal, McNeil, Gerardo. That is a good team. And who scored the winner? For Alejandro Garnacho. Put through, lovely little bursting run down on the left wing. Nice little right-footed finish. Garnacho doing the goods for the under-21s. Now, Garnacho hasn't, in terms of first-team opportunities, very limited so far. We will see him across the course of the season. I absolutely trust Erik ten Hag has brought through so many young players at Ajax. It's a little bit more embedded at Ajax. They really do bring players through so regularly that kind of youngsters get thrown in a little bit quicker. and it's a more forgiving environment. United isn't. It's not. It really, really isn't. Garnacho will be getting plenty of game time this season, and for me, he does seem. I think he feels he's mentally ready for it, like he's above under-21s football, like he wants more, and I think he'll get it at some point in the season. But yeah, Garnacho and Pellistri, two really exciting wingers that I think we've got to be considering at some point this season. Josh, I mean, yeah, weren't they 1-0 up as well? Ooh, whoopsie! I guarantee you can always see what's going to happen, can't you? If we don't beat Real Sociedad in the last game of the Europa League, say we win all our games, I'm back to back against Omonia, beat Sheriff in the last game, go against Sociedad, and we lose against them, we finish second in the group. We have to play somebody who finishes third in their Champions League group. Odds on that being Ajax, I would say extremely high. You say Ajax is rebuilding, but they had an absolutely sensational start to the season in the league. So they haven't exactly started off too badly. I would completely not disagree with that. Let's not go crazy. McNeil scored a penalty last night. Absolute pearl of a penalty. Fired it in. McNeil's good. And nowadays, that's a good point. And Napoli lost quite a few players as well. Lost Koulibaly. Can't remember who was it. Who was it? Is it Insigne? And someone else, and they seem to be doing very, very well. Ajax or Barca, who we got? Imagine we got Barca, and we knocked out, just slapped up Frankie de Jong. Everyone just giving him a little slap as he walks past. You know, you normally do handshakes this time. So look, I'm going to wrap this up for today because I'm going to have to get on the road. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining a little bit earlier than normal. It's a bit of a muted week after the absolute pumping at the hands of City at the weekend. But fingers crossed we can go and do a decent job away in Cyprus tomorrow. I'm looking forward to watching United in a little bit of sunshine, seeing some friends. And that's what I see football's all about. It's about the people you go with just as much as it is about the game that you're watching. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll make sure you follow me on Instagram, right? Let me drop this in here because I'm so crap at Instagram. I really am. I'll tell you what, I might follow me on Instagram. I might just do some random live videos from Cyprus out there. I won't be able to do a video like this in the morning. Maybe I'll be able to do a live stream that's a little bit more informal. Undecided, but make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be doing a few posts on there, maybe a couple of videos. Make sure you check out the video. It's going out at 12 p.m. today, my starting 11. I'll have my match reaction hopefully up at some point tomorrow. But have a cracking couple of days. I will be back live on Monday, but there'll be more videos going out. And, of course, we'll be speaking on Sunday with the Everton game. But, look, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Ricky, I believe it was, and Sigma for the gifted memberships. Have a cracking day, everyone.